Thank you very much. I appreciate all the energy that you have all taken to invest in growing your businesses. So I want to start out with a question. And my first question is, why do you think I'm here? So do you think I'm here to motivate you? Yes? No? I'm not here to motivate you. I hope what I say will motivate you, but that's not why I'm here. Do you think I'm here to help you make more money? Yeah? No, that's not why I'm here. Do you think I'm here to help you become better leaders? Yeah? No, that's not why I'm here. The reason I'm here today is to make you think. That is my job today. And the first thing I want you to think about, because I think about it just about every day, is for those people that have started a business and are running a business today, I want you to think about that day. And I think you all know what I'm talking about when I say that day. And that day is the day that you decided that you could never work for anybody else again, that day. And for me, it was March 2nd, 1993. And my last day of my last job was April 15th, 1993. Not that I remember dates, but those two dates I do remember. And I remember what caused me to want to go out on my own. I remember the vision and the passion and the energy that I had. And it's 17 years later, and I can tell you that I have more energy and passion about running my own business than I ever had. This is Sisyphus. Sisyphus was a king, and he was so evil that the gods required him to push a boulder uphill for eternity. So I've been thinking about entrepreneurship. You know me well enough that I've been at this for close to 20 years, working with individuals that own companies. And I've been trying to find the analogy that I could use that describes your life. And this is what I've come to. That I think your job every day is to push the boulder up the hill. Every day. All day. 7 days a week. 52 weeks a year. Year after year. And maybe 1 out of 100 will get that boulder to the top of the hill and it starts rolling down the other side. That's the ultimate dream, is to be that company that has that boulder go down the backside of the hill, where momentum kicks in and the flywheel takes effect. And you start to get more demand than you actually thought you could, and now your whole world gets turned upside down in a different way. Gerber, who I'll talk about a little bit at the end, wrote a book called The E-Myth, which is the entrepreneurial myth. The entrepreneurial myth is that most entrepreneurs are not entrepreneurs at all. They're really technicians that have had an entrepreneurial seizure. They're very good at what they do, but what they do is not run a business. So I'm going to talk about what it takes to run a business. So breakpoints. First one is charting your course. We're going to spend a little bit of time talking about charting your course, about strategy, and about developing your life plan. And at the end of this, I'm going to talk a little bit about my life plan. Building your pit crew, recruiting talent. I said before that business is easy, people are complicated. The single biggest asset that you have in your business, especially in these companies where you're service-oriented, are your people. And how are you treating your people and how are you building your organization? The piece that I think causes the most challenges, communications. We're going to spend a significant amount of time over the next 20, 30 minutes talking about human communications and how it affects your businesses. Partnership pain. How many people in here have more than one owner in their business? I'll probably fly through this section, but those that do have partnerships, it can be exceedingly painful. I know that I had a separation from a partner back in 2003. I've had maybe a half a dozen sleepless nights in my life. 3 of them were during that period. Not fun at all if it doesn't work. Next breakpoint is revving the engine. You need to build a scalable, reproducible sales system that allows you to provide predictable sales results to your organization. Without predictable sales, hard to plan, hard to build a company around inconsistent sales levels. If you're able to do those 5 things, the next thing is changing the guard. We'll talk a little bit about this, about upgrading your management team, putting systems in place. And then the last breakpoint is something we call CEO time. Why do you do what you do? And if what you do is purely for money, I would ask you to think again. Because if you're all about the financial return, and I'm not against financial return. If you look at my bio, the name of my company is For Profit. There's a reason it's called For Profit. So I want you to make money. But to me, money is the byproduct of defining a good market, choosing a product that's valuable, selling at a reasonable price, and taking care of your clients. And at the back end, money is the output. And if you run a business strictly for the bottom line, you're going to get employees that do what? That come to work for a paycheck. Do you know the statistics today of how many people are emotionally attached to their job? 17% of our population goes to work today because of an emotional attachment to their job, which means 83% are going to work for a paycheck. And the challenge is that most of the people that I meet that own businesses are running their businesses for a paycheck. So if you're running your business for a paycheck and not a purpose, then your employees will do the same. I've got 17 minutes left, and I can spend 2 hours on this topic. How many people in here have hired a salesperson? How many people in here have hired a good salesperson? How many people do you think you need to interview to get one really good salesperson? Numbers. 20? 30? Let's use 26 as a very convenient number. So if you want to hire one good salesperson, and it's 1 in 26, you do the math. How often do you need to interview a candidate to find one good salesperson a year? One every 2 weeks, right? 52 weeks, that 26 into 52. It's like my son's third grade math thing. So how many people in here interview a sales candidate once every 2 weeks? So you don't want to hire any salespeople, do you? If you know the numbers are 1 in 26 is going to get you a good one, yet you're not interviewing somebody every 2 weeks, you're not going to hire a good salesperson more than once a year, if you're lucky. And how many people in here actually know how to interview a salesperson? Even understand what the interview process is all about? I believe that business is pretty simple. What's complicated is people. So I'm going to spend most of my time today talking about people and why your businesses are complicated. You see the world through a unique lens that nobody else has. Your lens is totally unique. What I want to do is break down why it's unique and things that you need to think about, because the only way that you can create change in your organization is to understand yourself first. So if you're an unconscious leader and you just wake up every day and you just go to work and you do what you do every day, you're going to get the same results. And they're not always as good as you want. And you sit there and say, why doesn't the organization move forward? And odds are it's because you're not moving forward personally. So if you're not doing the work that you need to do on yourself, if you're not getting to that next level, then your organization is going to have a challenge as well. So when you start to understand how you communicate and how you affect other people in your organization, it gives you the freedom, the opportunity to start to communicate more effectively and to help others in your organization communicate more effectively. If you're communicating to your company or communicating to the marketplace, it needs to be multimodal. What does that mean? It needs to be, I did an assessment for a company. We talked to the owners a couple weeks later. We said, did you message back to the company what we talked about? He says, yeah, that's all done. I said, what did you do? He said, we sent an email to everybody. I'm like, really? You sent an email about a 3-day on-site that we did with your management team. We did an entire employee sat survey that everybody took at least 20 to 30 minutes to complete. And we did a financial review of the last 3 years of your business, and you sent out an email? Seems pretty relevant to me. What about the people that don't read your emails? How many emails a week do you send out to your team? Oh, about 40 or 50. And you think that the one that you sent out that reviews all that work that we did is the one that they read the entire thing that was 2 pages long? How about a video message? How about an all-hands meeting? How about communicating to them in the way that they absorb information? And it's the same with your clients. You use one sword to go after them and slay them, but you actually need 5 or 6 different ones. You need to connect with audiences in different ways, one to many. Why? How many people in here feel like you can make decisions on the fly? You sit in a room, you sit in a meeting, okay. You are the ones that are probably guilty of looking at those other people and saying they can't make decisions, they're not decisive, right? There are people in your organization that are just not, Jeremiah, you're shaking your head. People in your organization that are not decisive. I would beg to differ. My belief is those people don't have enough data because they don't want to be wrong. Most of this industry is filled with perfectionists, filled with people that are technologically bent and want to be right. They don't want to be wrong. So if you put them in a meeting and they are not prepared properly, it is your fault as a leader for not preparing them, not their inability to make a decision. I would tend to believe that today that being right is less important than being consistent. Does that make sense? So we all want to be right as engineers and technologists. We want to have the right answer. But sometimes switching paths because this right is a little better than the last right was is more damaging to the organization than consistency. So being consistent with a slightly wrong answer is better than getting to the right answer and having nobody be able to follow you. So for me, consistency is really important. Equity to people. How many people have given equity to employees? Keep your hands up. How many of those employees actually purchased the equity? One. Equity is probably one of the most misunderstood business tools in existence. Because most people that ask for equity don't want equity. They want two things. They want part of the profit, and they want a piece of the business when it's sold. They don't want the downside of equity. They don't want to have to put in money when the business needs money. They don't want their personal guarantees on loans against the business. They don't want the things that are the downside of ownership. They want the upside. And you can solve that upside without giving them equity. But as a neophyte, as that 2-year-old business owner that is so happy to get this new senior executive into their organization, and I can't pay him as much, so I'll give him some equity, might not be the best decision. I said most salespeople that I meet that have 10-year sales experience really don't. They have 1 year's sales experience 10 times over. We do very little training in our businesses anymore. If we go back to when I graduated college back in the mid-'80s, Xerox, HP, IBM, GE, you name it, they all had these phenomenal training programs. Where have they gone? They don't do it anymore. So you have all these new grads that are coming out of school 10 years later, and they're not trained. And you're hiring someone with sales skills, supposedly, but what sales skills do they have? So my suggestion is that you invest in your sales teams to produce a result that you want. And the last break point before I wrap up this section of my talk is what I call CEO time. I meet a lot of people that have CEO on their business cards, but I meet very few CEOs. So to me, a CEO is someone who understands those other 6 breakpoints. They understand about having a plan and having a strategy to get where they want to go. They understand how to recruit talent and bring in the best people. They understand human communications. They understand how to deal with ownership issues. They understand how to build a sales team. They understand how to change the guard. And they understand themselves. And I don't meet a lot of people like that, but I do meet a lot of people that believe they are CEOs. And at a certain point, every business deserves a real CEO because it's no longer about you. Now, if you want to grow into that CEO, that is great. And if you want to join young presidents or you want to get a personal coach or you want to get whatever it is that you want to help you get there, I highly recommend you do that. But if it's not you, you have 2 other options. Hire someone to backfill you to do the job well, or maybe it's time to sell your business. Because if you're at 125 employees and you don't understand finance well enough and you don't understand the bottom line and how your business is being affected by your cash flow and your lack of cash flow or your credit lines or where things are coming from, left side, right side, and you don't understand what sales management really looks like and you hire some people that say they're great sales managers but they're not, you need to be able to understand what good looks like. And in many cases, you need to understand what great looks like. Most of my clients come to me because they want to know what good looks like because they've never seen good. And I challenge you as CEOs of your businesses to understand what are your weak spots? What are the people that you need to surround yourself with to get to where you want to go?